One of the things that I believe strongly is that it's important for people to have a passion for something. It has to be something about your life and the way you live it that you're really passionate about. Pinball for me has been a passion.
Every pull of the plunger is a different scenario. Have you ever played a pinball game where everything happened exactly the same? I mean, it just doesn't happen. It's because it's real. It's real metal on real wood. It kind of gets lost. This is a national treasure. If we don't do something about it, it's just gone.
Hi, my name is Steve Ritchie, and I make pinball machines. And I am very glad to be here tonight. This show is really great because there's so many pinball machines. That's probably the most unique thing about the show, for me anyway. I walk in, I see this giant room full of pinballs, more than I've seen at any other show, honest to God. I love how the place is lit up, you know. It's just it's a completely different and new kind of show, and I really enjoy being here.
I'm Michael Sheese. I started the Lucky Juju Pinball Gallery and founded the Civic Pinball Museum in Alameda, California. My buddy Larry.
I'm Larry Zartarian. I'm also affiliated with the Pacific Pinball Museum. I've known Mike for about 12 years now.
Has it been that long?
And we're in the process of trying to find a permanent home for our collection of about 650 to almost 700 pinball machines.
And we found a temporary home right here if you want to see it.
Would you like
the
to
warehouse.
come inside?
We would, yeah.
Yeah, come on in. Well, when I started the Juju, the main reason was I had gotten a bunch of pinball machines for an art project. I was going to make kinetic art, and I just couldn't do it. You know, no matter how much whiskey I swilled, I just couldn't put the sandpaper to the playfield and erase the original art. So they kind of sat there until their moaning to be played late at night would wake me up, you know. I really do believe there's a soul to these machines, that they want to be played. And it's really funny, if you don't play them, they kind of stop working and they develop problems. But as long as you play them, they seem to go forever. Once you get one of these restored, they're really pretty amazing piece of American ingenuity. I consider what Larry and I do, I've considered myself a curator, and Larry,
I think of myself more as a Johnny Appleseed kind of pinball. I'd like to spread the enjoyment and the love of just playing. And the best way I can do that is to make my own collection playable so other people can have as much fun as I did. In fact, in terms of museums, there's really no other organization that's doing what we're attempting to do. Our goal is to become the Smithsonian of pinball. Not only treat it with a reverence that it had in the past, but make sure that it's relevant in the future.
A good service tech really is hard to find. I've been around lots and lots of games all my life. So, I mean, for the last 20 years, I've seen warehouses and warehouses full of games. I am really amazed about the Gordon Hasse collection. It's like a collection it's shocking.
a lot of these machines that we're restoring are from his collection that he donated to the museum. Some of these haven't seen the light of day for, 25 years. He managed to collect every Gottlieb wood rail single player that Gottlieb ever made.
From 1946 through 1961. It's truly a one-of-a-kind collection in the world.
Looking at this warehouse with all the games in it, it is a little bit also overwhelming too. So it's almost like, wow, where did all these games come from? My God. We had a really good success rate last year. Out of like 350, only 6 of them went down. I've been to other shows where they have 100 games, 15 or 20 of them are down. Of course, when I get down to the end and get finished with a pinball machine like this, sometimes I hurry up and plug it in, want to throw the ball in it, play with it quickly, see if it'll do its thing, So, because I'm always excited about getting into a pinball machine and see what makes it tick, And I'm sure glad that I'm actually working here for PPM.
First the broadsides, then the big parade. Tigers, elephants, lions and bands, like some returning Roman legion, the captured and fallen spared for Caesar's pleasure. Elephants and roustabouts pitch the giant tent. Peanuts, popcorn, cotton candy, Then, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as high above the center ring an Amazon beauty, both handsome and bold, dismisses the danger of death in the sawdust and works without a net. You might ask why it's of value from an historical perspective. Well, for openers, pinball is totally visual and highly effective as both in track mode and a storytelling vehicle. The graphics are unique, closely allied to circus and carnival art. What's more, pinball graphics are perfectly suited to today's nostalgic mood, our widespread yearning for simpler, better times. Although the game themes were almost infinitely varied, the intended result was always the same: to provide the player with a pleasant break from limited prospects and the tedious grind of day-to-day reality, to provide a nickel escape, a 5-cent fantasy.
We do have at least 500 pinball machines. What's going to happen to them? Because my kids or our kids don't want, 500 pinball machines. So what we'll do is donate them to the museum. That's where they really belong. And my hats are off to people that put their ducks in a row for this event. The whole circumstances of all the art people and industry people and everybody that have got together to make this happen.
Richard announced his intention to make a very generous contribution to the museum, and he understated by almost an order of magnitude the number of machines in his collection. I suspect since his wife was in the room, but he allowed us how he owned about 500, and I think it's probably about 3 times that. And his business card reads, "Keeper of the Pinball Flame since 1952, which is when he began collecting. So he might be the original pinball collector. I don't know anybody that's been into it longer than that.
None of the museum institutions take this seriously. Maybe we're putting it up on a pedestal, and a lot of people disagree with that because they think, oh, it's a hobby, and you're going to take away from the hobby. Well, it's more than a hobby. It's art. It's kinetic art, and it's an American icon. It really is something that we should be proud of.
I'm delighted to have been able to play a part in advancing the interests of the Pacific Pinball Museum. What we need are proselytizers. We need each and every one of you to go out and tell other folks about what this wonderful group of people are doing. It will never, ever be done by the highbrow museums of the world. They don't understand it. They never will. So if we want to see it done, it's going to have to be done by us. And I encourage you to do everything within your capability to help us advance the case and make this long-held dream a reality.
I'm no psychologist, but look, we got a clown here with a giant phallic-shaped nose, and all these women, going gaga over him. and they're like, this was what, the late 60s or 70s. I just thought, wow, this is pretty low. They got little tiny waists, huge thighs, and big breasts. Anatomically impossible. And that was like the high water mark for women's.